It's important to talk for a few minutes about the deep fake video which has been put out. The deep fake video, I can probably even play you a small section of it. Here it is.
Сьогодні в Москві, на мою думку, дуже весело. Хочеться вірити, що такі веселощі ми будемо влаштовувати їм частіше. Все-таки братній народ, а родичів треба частіше радувати і частіше до них у гості ходити. Значить, будемо ходити.
Yeah, so there are a few telltale signs that this is a deep fake audio. It is certainly possible to get these things. It's possible to get them even as a civilian. How much more if you've got the entire weight of the Russian army behind you? What Alexei Danilov is saying in this video is having fun in Moscow today. I think it's a lot of fun. I would like to believe that we will arrange more such fun for them more often. After all, they are brotherly people and you need to please your relatives more often and visit them more often, so we'll walk. It's a pretty foul deep fake. And here you can see the original video and the deep fake one above. And the important thing here, I think, from my point of view, is who is doing this deep fake, because it's a television station called NTV. NTV. I know about them very, very well, because about 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe, I did some lectures in the Presidential Academy or in one of these universities in Moscow, and I think it was the Presidential Academy. It was the journalist department, and I did a series of lectures on journalists' ethics. And one of the journalists, who sadly I've sort of lost contact with, but one of the journalists asked me if I would then be prepared to do some interviews on TV, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Yes, of course I will. And I did an interview about a cartoon series, and this was aired on mainstream TV on a program hosted by a lady called Zeynalova, and I eventually I did a number of these things, and then one or two of them, I thought, I'm a little uncertain, because I would get back to Moscow in time, and I would see these things sometimes on the TV, and I think, oh, that's very exciting. There I am, but I don't seem to be saying what I thought I said. And to start with, it was quite modest changes, and then in the end, it was quite major changes, and they just dubbed stuff straight over my voice, and it was stuff which I would never have said. And I called them, and I said, look, this is simply not acceptable. And we arranged a meeting, and I was supposed to go. I did actually go to the studio, and I was kept waiting. I was made to buy my own coffee, and I was supposed to meet Zeynalova, whatever her name is. Gosh, the name slipped my mind. Anyway, she was a foul-mouthed individual who made a sort of big issue about attacking some children with snowballs on air on early morning TV, using language which perhaps one shouldn't use before the watershed, and using language about the children throwing snowballs. And this person very much had the imprimatur of President Putin. She didn't meet me in the end, and I can't remember whether all the episodes that I featured in were removed from the online service or whether it was just the last one. But I persisted in calling and demanding a retraction and a statement, putting things right, and nothing happened. And eventually I gave my story to the BBC, who ran a very interesting piece, And it turned out that I wasn't the only one, but I was the only one with the evidence. I had copies of both videos, and because I'd taken a copy of the video which was filmed on my phone, and so I was able to compare it to the video, which was, I think by that I think it's still available online. Now it isn't. And it turned out that Professor John Curtis, the psephologist, the fellow who predicts elections, was also interviewed on the same program, and was also a victim of digital distortion. And so he was equally saying things that he'd never said. So it's the same television program which dubbed fake information onto my voice that is now dubbed much more professionally using AI technology. It's dubbed and lip-synced fake information onto the image of Danilov, helping to create the impression that Ukraine is behind the Crocus city hall attack, which I'm sure it isn't. But that suits President Putin's policies and agendum. This is an evil and a foul regime, and I've talked about this. I've talked about the reputation of NTV on a few occasions, and occasionally sort of comments appear possibly from Russian trolls saying that I'm over-egging this omelette, but now we see the result. The result is these people have got away with it, and they feel there is a license to go further. Now, I see nothing particularly wrong with AI technology, and I played around with some of it myself. It's certainly possible to modify video footage, to lip sync video footage to entirely different audio. I've used it myself for humorous purposes, to give the impression that people are singing ridiculous songs or saying ridiculous things. But it becomes much more pernicious when it's linked to audio deepfake, and it appears to be the real voice and the real image of an individual who is saying something which is entirely concocted, which is entirely manufactured by a scurrilous TV studio. And no studio is more scurrilous than NTV.